Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Second time today. I'm Tom Worth Jr. and I wanted to talk about something that I saw when I went to bed last night. A headline about Donald Trump's media company, the Trump Media and Technology Group, stock ticker DJT. And this is a thing that went public 6 months ago or so. But the headline was Trump Media co-founder and former Apprentice contestant dumps about $100 million worth of stock. And the reason he did this is because he can. When the company went public, Trump's media company, his Truth Social, 6 months ago, when you take a company public, there's usually a lockup where the big shareholders can't sell for the first X number of months, 6 months in this case. So nobody could sell, none of the insiders could sell their shares or big institutional holders in that first 6 months typically. And that was the case here. So Donald Trump couldn't sell his stock for the first 6 months. So that expired a few days ago, and there was a lot of question over whether he would dump all his stock as soon as he could. Well, most likely he wouldn't, because that would make the price of the stock tank. And so whatever he didn't sell would become pretty worthless pretty overnight. Now, it's already come down a lot. He at some point was, I forget how much, maybe 7 billion on paper worth of shares for his company, Donald Trump, and now it's like 1.6 billion, I think I saw last night. And this is not an actual real company. This is a company that has, I think it had 3 million in revenue all of last year, and doesn't have maybe 1.5 million, I believe was the number for the first 6 months of this year. That is total revenue for his company, for his Truth, which is, I say company, it's his Truth Social, even though the official name is Trump Media and Technology Group. What they did is they merged with a different company. It's just a shell company, just a company on paper, that enabled the injection of $300 million that this other company had into Donald J. Trump's company. And the reason you could do this is you have to meet certain thresholds to be able to go public, to be able to sell your shares on a stock exchange, to be registered. And so they found this company to merge with, and this company would hold, you could promise them, you could give them shares of your stock in exchange. So now they would be able to sell those shares and make money from that. But what they did is they found this auditor. Again, you have to have, this is all above board. You're dealing with the SEC, you have regulations. The SEC at any time can require a company to, or from the stock exchanges, to delist a company's stock. So the stock can't trade anymore. So you can't really, you don't want to screw around with the SEC. Even Elon Musk somewhat feared the SEC and somewhat abided by their edicts with all of his lying around their financial results over the past 6-7 years or so. So what happens is you get an auditor, an independent accounting firm, to audit your results, to make sure you have what you say you have and make sure your results are what they say they are. He hired a company to do this. And soon after they went public, the government announced a large investigation, and this company was found to have completely fabricated 1,500 SEC filings over 500 different clients. So of course, the company, the accounting firm that Donald Trump and his people pick to do their audit is like the most fraudulent accounting firm ever. And they can't engage in accounting anymore. This firm can't. They can't do these SEC filings anymore. They can't audit things. So they're done. Of course, the Trump firm, when you're looking more into this, a little episode of PTSD for me, because I knew this, but I hadn't thought about it in a long time. The long lost Devin Nunes is the CEO of Trump Media Tech and Technology Group, California's own. And so I completely forgot about that. Just so many reasons to run as far from this company as you can. He's the CEO of this company. So of course I mean, it's too much. You can Wikipedia this stuff. You can go to CNBC. You can go to SEC filings. Just every word out of this guy's mouth is a lie, and it takes you back to when Trump took office in early 2017, and Devin Nunes was the head of a House Intelligence Committee, and he was in charge of getting to the bottom of whether or not Russia interfered with the 2016 election. Guess what? Turns out they didn't. Turns out there was nothing there. According to Devin Nunes' committee investigation, nothing. Squeaky clean. There's no evidence of anything. We can't find anything about Russia interfering in this. And of course, Adam Schiff and the Democrats were just screaming bloody murder the whole time, which they should have been doing. Everything Devin Nunes around that investigation was discredited. He would laughably say just things that could be contradicted the very next day, or he would contradict himself on something, a statement that he had said a week earlier, and just come out of the blue and say, well, actually, that wasn't exactly correct. And you'd be going, why would he just come out and say that? And then the next day, Adam Schiff would publish a statement saying exactly what Devin Nunes just had to come out and say. So Nunes was always just trying to get a step ahead of the facts that were actually coming out faster than he could lie about them. So he has all the Russian connections. He's as dirty as it gets. He's Trump's probably his most loyal guy in Congress, and he had actually served in Congress for like 20 years. And why would he leave? Well, he left to be the CEO of Donald Trump's media company. Well, I have to keep saying quote company. So this is a firm that has revenue in the millions, 3 million last year and 1.5 million through the first 6 months of this year. That's all the results we have. You publish results on a quarterly basis. So on the quarter ending here at the end of September, we'll probably get those in a few weeks to a month or so. But they have $300 million that had been injected into their company by their merger with this other company, this shell company, special purpose acquisition company, SPAC. But they already burned through tens of millions of those dollars. So Donald Trump had taken out loans, right? Their largest expense last year was like $39 million in debt payments last year for this company. This was before they went public. So again, Donald Trump always borrowing money, always having to pay off interest, pay off debt. So they're having to do this. So I mean, you have to have certain viability as a business or growth prospects as a business in order to be able to go public. And people don't buy the stock in this company with any growth prospects. They buy it because Donald Trump's associated with it. They buy it because they think the stock price will go up. It's nothing to do with any forward-looking projections or anything. When you're a company, you have to have all kinds of disclosures in your IPO registration and then also your quarterly statements. They have all kinds of disclosures, as most companies do. But they are running as far away from any forward-looking projections as they can. They can't even issue any official growth projections because they don't have any. They're actually shrinking. They're having less daily users. less advertiser revenue. So they can't. They're not a company. I keep saying that, but there's just really no other way to say that. It doesn't report any key performance metrics. It gave some this article here from Nasdaq.com. Its valuations are detached from reality. Even after falling more than 90% from its peak, the stock price was still worth $2.5 billion as of this writing. This is after falling over 90%. The stock was still worth over $2.5 billion. It's trading at more than 650 times trailing sales. That's your sales last year. 650 times sales is what their stock price is after falling 90%. By comparison, Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, all of that, they trade at 10 times their trailing sales. And Donald Trump's company trades at 650 times their trailing sales. And it says even for DJT to only be valued at 25 times its trailing sales, keep in mind, Meta, Facebook, is 10 times its trailing sales. So for Donald Trump's company to be 25 times its trailing sales, it would need to fall another 96% in stock price. So this is based on no reality of any kind. There's all kinds of metrics, there's all kinds of losses. In the first quarter of this year, the first 3 months of this year, it had $770,000 in revenue total, the whole company, in 3 months. Like $250,000 a month. And a loss of $328 million loss in the first quarter of this year. They sold $700,000 worth of stuff and had a net loss of $327 million. That's in 3 months. That is a rough 3 months. That's what you get when Donald Trump is your front man and you put Devin Nunes in charge of running the show. I don't know. Maybe he would have had a nice home in government. I don't know. If only he could have kept it. Donald Trump, for his part, says he had absolutely no intention of selling his shares. This former apprentice person, which started this whole thing for me, he had a company called United Atlantic Ventures, and it's a co-founder of this company with Donald Trump, and his name's Andy Litinsky. He owned 7.5 million shares. This guy who, was a contestant on The Apprentice. So Donald Trump has made this guy. He had 7.5 million shares and now owns 100 shares because he got out as soon as he could. Sold $100 million worth of stock. And by the way, he's at a major contentious place with Donald Trump himself. There's litigation involved, as there always is with Trump. This is a co-founder of this company, just dumped it all. So I don't know if Trump's gonna dump out of it. I would say no one in their right mind would ever buy a share of this company. Every day more news comes out. Every day the stock goes down. But there's always crazy people out there. You have meme stocks. You remember your GameStop or whatever. But this just goes so far beyond that. There is actually GameStop stores, right? You could actually go. There was actually a business there that at one time was worth something. Donald Trump's company has never been worth anything. He only merged with this other company to get its $300 million, and then to take it all public, so everyone could, always grift with him, always the shell game, always the Ponzi scheme. But just to prove how irrational people are, even after all of this plummeting, even after the news at 10 o'clock last night that this co-founder dumped all $100 million worth of his shares, I checked Donald Trump's stock today, DJT, and it was up a little over 5% towards the end of the trading day today. it went up. So this is the lunacy that is involved with Trump's company. So do yourself a favor. Consider this a stock tip from me. Do not put any of your hard-earned money into DJT or anything involving Trump or Devin Nunes. One more little slimy thing about Nunes. When I was reading up on him, I got to do a video or two on this guy because, like all of you, I lived through 2016 to 2020, and this guy. So I say Ted Cruz is the worst. I say Mitch McConnell is kind of right there with him. Devin Nunes is actually as in with the Russians as you could possibly be. I'm gonna do a video on that guy. And I'm sure a lot of you already if you don't remember this stuff, you did know it at one point. But it is so much worse than you knew because things come out after the fact, or it's just the daily things getting lost in the pile of crap that Donald Trump was heaping on us all day, every day. So things just kept coming out and kept being revealed and kept being, even though Trump and his spokespeople would say things, I mean, just was continuously being debunked. But you couldn't keep up with it because they're always doing more and more and more. And that is the strategy, to just pile so much stuff where we just can't even breathe. We're just gasping for just a truth, just something, one little last gasp of truth anywhere in the room, and there just wasn't any to be found. So I'll start with Wikipedia, I guess, but then go into the different sources and articles and testimonies, and there's just a goal. That should be a channel in itself. Devin Nunes in Russia, and the fact that this is always the thing with Trump. Also, I talked about Scott Pruitt, the guy, always the fox in charge of the hen house. You take the guys who are always suing the EPA and put them in charge of the EPA. You put the guy who's more in bed with Russia than anyone, and you put him in charge of the Russia investigation. That's this is our Republican nominee for president. And I think that's a good way to end a Friday here. So thanks for bearing with me if you did make it through both of these today, and we will talk to you this weekend. Bye.